Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
Welcome one and all to Dice Company, where a group of old friends weave tales of triumph, heroism and despair under the guise of playing Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Tom, and I'll be your DM through the continuing adventures of the Order of the Heron. Order of the Heron, please introduce yourselves and tell us one fun fact about your characters.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm playing Augustus. And now Augustus is the Heron Knight. He's wondering if that makes him the leader of the Order of the Heron.
What do you mean now that he's the Heron Knight? Hasn't Augustus always believed that he's the leader of the Order of the Heron?
I mean, yes, clearly he's the only person of leadership caliber. I agree with that.
I'm an admiral.
My character has some common sense from time to time.
In the history of leadership, that hasn't come up, Shags.
Oh, that's true.
It should, but it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Famously not a trait that leaders have.
I think I was listening to a history podcast that said, you've got to remember most leaders throughout history have been essentially drunken children.
So who's the drunkest, most childish of you?
I ascend to the throne with a heavy heart.
I look forward to the ensuing battle between Vander and Augustus about who's in charge.
Hi, my name is Charlie, and I play Vander Finnick. Vander has been experimenting with his new eye, and he's realised that he can look directly backwards into his own brain.
Oh, God. Oh.
You don't know that that's grotesque. None of you have done it.
Yeah, I do kind of want to know now what it looks like. I imagine in Vander's brain, it's just demons chasing other demons.
Absolutely. A real treasure trove.
Well, I feel a bit sick.
Hi, I'm Harry. I play Tock, an imposing 6'8" automaton. Tock is feeling something akin to being embarrassed about the messy dissection of the Sister of Mercy's arm. The next time he has to amputate a human's arm, he intends to make a better job of it.
I feel like my comeback for that was actually in the episode where I just deftly removed the piece of bone.
Well, Vander's got a lot more experience chopping up human flesh.
It's true. I don't know why I don't use it more, to be fair.
I was expecting you in that episode to immediately jump on that rather than let Tock just... the reason why I was like, Tock pulls out a cleaver. Is Vander going to just step up?
Please?
And he was just like, nope, carry on.
Vander enjoys the pageantry of that, so thank you.
Before we begin, if you'd like to support the podcast, please check out our Patreon. And don't forget to join our fabulous Discord community too. Finally, the response to our merchandise release was phenomenal. But for those who haven't seen the Heron names or the I find this to be acceptable t-shirts, please visit dicecompanypodcast.com.
Whoa!
Thanks for the belated reaction there, you fuck.
I'm wandering through the wasteland of this podcast with no script.
That's why I rattled through it, you see. I rattled through the merchandise so we didn't get a repeat of your awful performances. Idiots. And remember, an adventure is only an inconvenience rightly considered, and an inconvenience is an adventure wrongly considered. As we'll find out in the next chapter of Dice Company. Previously on Dice Company. Following the successful Battle of Deepmaund, Augustus was officially inducted into the Knights of Scarlet. Tock filled his bag with corpses of Warden Knox and the Sisters of Mercy. Vander revealed some of the history of the Empire's High Inquisitor Joseph, and Bennie admitted to having stolen from and attacked the Tamrace family. You recovered a book of maps, including the blueprints to the prison The Fingers, and spent the evening in the Mound by the Sea Tavern, drinking with Commander Ironsteiger, Joe, and the people of Deepmaund. You awaken the following morning and meet in the bar of the tavern. The place has been cleaned top to bottom following the previous night's drunken antics, and you gather for breakfast.
Vander shambles over to one of the vacant tables and sits down, looking expectantly around for someone to bring him breakfast.
And Doreen does indeed bring breakfast over. Vander, you are brought a delicious soup.
Thanks. And Vander slurps almost immediately.
Bennie comes in and joins Vander at the table. How are we doing after yesterday's exertions then?
I'm feeling rather sprightly today, thank you, Bennie.
Very good. Any sign of others yet?
I believe we're the first to arrive.
Vander, as you say that, you hear a large thump and some clatter from towards the back of the pub.
I spoke too soon.
About 30 seconds afterwards, Tock walks into the breakfast room and joins you. He's covered with little bits of dust, a few bits of tile and things from the roof of the building. I have been analyzing the maps and the blueprint overnight.
On the roof?
Indeed. It was a location I could observe the stars whilst I worked.
How much of the roof did you bring with you to breakfast?
A minimal amount. I left it on the floor outside.
I see, Tock. It's possible that we'll have some awkward conversations in a few moments.
Vander looks around at the bar to see if there's anyone who's seen this so far.
Doreen is too busy making breakfast. She hasn't seen or heard anything.
I wonder if your bag of holding has space for some tiles.
Negative, Vander. It is full of human corpses.
Ah, yes, that is an imposing issue. Well then.
Well, to be fair, it is a nice inn, so it was inevitable we'd have to leave and never come back, wouldn't it? So.
True, Bennie, very true. I guess breaking the roof of the building is as good a way as any to persuade the locals that we are not to be trusted.
And it makes a change that it's Tock's doing for once, doesn't it? So that's quite nice.
I don't know what you mean.
And you get a response slurp.
And at this point, Augustus shambles into breakfast as well, looking like someone who was in a literal battle yesterday, followed by trying to dull his pain with creme de menthe.
So you're saying he's hungover?
He's just beaten up. He's not hungover to Slate Home levels, but he's sore.
You see Tock scrabble his belt slightly for the smelling salts.
Augustus skirts around Tock to the other side of the table and sits down.
So what did you learn, Tock, anyway?
So Tock will put the blueprints of the fingers on the table. So from the blueprints, can we get an idea of what the exterior of the building is going to look like? Whether the walls are sort of thick enough for this to be like a castle or fortified structure?
From what you can tell from looking at the blueprints, the walls are made from reinforced stone, very secure, metal structures on the inside, almost like a casing that then has the stone built around on the outside of the metal. In terms of its location, the Fingers itself is actually on an island just to the north, surrounded by smaller islands and icebergs, very snowy, wintry conditions.
What can we tell from the maps about the approach? Could you land a boat on the shore nearby?
You absolutely can. You can sail up from the northern part of the island. Coming from the south would be a bit problematic because there's a mountainous region, sheer surfaces, etc. There is also a pad area where you could land an airship.
I was going to ask, is it obvious whether it's resupplied by ship or by airship? But presumably the second.
You don't know for sure, but it would make sense that airship from Lunadyne to the Fingers would be the easiest.
I can see there's obviously a single main entrance. Can we get any impression of where supplies and the like are delivered to and brought into them from?
Supplies are delivered to the pantry area to the west.
That pantry area for deliveries might be a weak point.
Indeed, Bennie. That was my estimation as well.
So, are we still thinking heading on our way as soon as possible?
From my analysis, I would suggest an aerial insertion. We could fly over in the Sterling at night and leap from the gunnels, landing on the roof.
Very bold, Tock. How would we get back out of the Fingers after this brave entrance?
Unknown.
Vander listens with interest.
It strikes me that now is a good time to mention that our airship is in fact an older model of something the Empire might have used at one time. It's not impossible to paint it in the colors of the Empire, which might afford us some limited deceptive ability.
Or like a resupply ship or something.
Of sorts, yes, Bennie. That would allow us to at least land, and then we can begin our plans from the point of view of not being skid marks on the edges of the fingers.
Your plan makes sense, Vander.
We will need a way in, though. I wonder, is there a way we can either go around or perhaps trick our way past the guards?
My analysis suggested the use of a large amount of explosives, Vander.
Ah, yes, a lot like your approach to roofs, of course.
Or possibly even some people talk their way in while an explosive takes place in another location.
I suggest we try both.
Mix and match.
I would find that to be acceptable.
Then we'll need to pick up some paints and some explosives in our little shopping trip this morning.
Yeah, paints should be easy enough, but don't know about explosives. We can ask though, can't we?
Indeed. Vander, where do humans keep the explosives in their settlements?
Guard posts, potentially military barracks. But of course there are some dealers of such goods if you know where to look.
Dom, so Tock has, obviously he's proficient with alchemy supplies and things like that. Is it possible that he would know of some sort of like raw ingredients we could buy in bulk for significantly cheaper and then mix them up?
Ooh, interesting.
I'd say on the way, but I think that's something you don't do on your airship.
I mean, I'm all for that. Tock, you can absolutely do that.
To obtain the explosives, we will need bat guano or seabird guano. We will need charcoal and sulfur. I do not know how to procure these in a human settlement, however.
Quite the shopping list, yes.
Well, guano may be down at docks. We could go and have a word with the chap we bought that fish off yesterday. He seemed quite helpful, didn't he? So, yeah, seems like a decent place to start.
Charcoal will be sold in the shops, so I can peruse those.
Well, we might very well find many things at the dock, gentlemen. Perhaps we peruse there. There'll be all sorts of things travelling in and out of the city.
Agreed, a trip to the dock.
Oh, a day out.
Good place for an admiral to observe the water.
Vander's hands are clasped behind his back in a very admiralish pose.
You guys head south out of the Mound by the Sea Tavern, following Bennie and Tock's lead towards the dock district of Deepmaund. It's a relatively quiet day in the streets, as far as you can tell. Obviously, the excitement of the previous day has left something of a hangover for a number of people. The docks, however, are as busy as they always are. The sound of seabirds can be heard overhead. As you approach, and Bennie, you spot your friend from the other day, who is once again unloading and loading things onto a nearby boat.
So I head over towards him and wave a cheerful hello.
He waves back.
You're back.
I'm back. Yeah, how's it going?
Busy. You know how it is.
Yeah, I suppose I do, more or less. Thanks for that fish the other day. It were a great treat. We all enjoyed it.
I'm glad. You want another one?
No, I'm after something a bit different today, actually.
All right.
This is going to sound like a funny question, but do you know where I could get my hands on some bird shit?
It'd be hitchy he handsway, he says in Thieves' Cant. You want bird shit?
Yeah.
He looks around the ground, which is covered in the pepperings of seabirds.
I mean, there's plenty to be had.
No, like, you know, bagged up. Great load of it.
He looks along the docks and yells
Jeff, it'd be hitchy.
to another worker, who sullenly makes his way towards you.
He wants a bag of shit.
Don't say it like it's weird. Come on.
Jeff shrugs without saying a word, heads back to the boat, leans in and grabs a Hessian sack, walks back and offers it out.
This here's seabird guano.
Yeah, exactly. You see, you get it in bags, don't you? I knew it. Yeah, just what I was after. What's the damage?
5 gold.
5 gold.
He looks at the other, who shakes his head.
All right. 2 gold. This is precious stuff. You wouldn't like to know what we had to do to get it.
No, actually, I will pay you the 2 gold if you promise not to tell me.
Oh,
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure doing business with you. and I pass over the gold and take the bag of guano.
He slings you the bag, pockets the gold, and heads back towards the boat.
Don't make him sling me the bag. That could go awfully wrong.
You catch the bag deftly.
Oh, I wanted a dexterity check.
Right, I turn to the others and I hold up the bag. Mission accomplished.
How much guano would Tock estimate is in the bag? Literally hold it and try and weigh it if that helps.
Good question. Which I'm obviously ill prepared for because I didn't know you were going shit shopping today.
How much gunpowder? I mean, we'll need like a barrel's worth, won't we? So
I never travel on any kind of air transportation without at least a barrel of gunpowder.
Standard full barrels contain 100 pounds of gunpowder. A half barrel's 50 pounds. So we would need probably about 75 pounds of bird shit.
Oh, would you believe there's 75 pounds of bird shit in that bag? It's quite heavy.
Sounds it, yeah. It's a real shame the bag of holding's full, isn't it?
It's a real shame the bag of holding is full of corpses. Also, that's a big bird.
Yeah. Bennie, this is a sufficient quantity of guano. We will now require sulfur.
Well, I've done my bit. It's someone else's turn, isn't it?
Is it possible sulfur is sold in shops? Vander?
Very possible, though I imagine the docks do offer the best wholesale price.
And Vander, without moving his head, scans the dockyard for places that might look like they sell sulfur.
We will require 10 pounds of sulfur, Vander.
Of course.
Give me a perception check, please.
19.
Further along the docks, there is a small general store.
Vander shambles in the direction of the store.
Which you suspect would have sulfur.
Tock will follow along to provide lifting for 10 pounds stuff.
You enter, a little bell above the door rings, and you see a craggy-faced old woman with short blondish hair wearing fisherman's gear, like literally with suspenders and a white t-shirt underneath. It's very difficult to discern her exact age, but she could be anywhere from 50 to 150.
Good morning.
She looks up.
Well, I'm charmed to meet you. I was wondering if you sold sulfur in this little shop.
Without saying a word, she reaches under the counter and pulls out a box.
I see.
By looking at the box, would it look like it's about 10 pounds of sulfur?
It's probably 20 pounds.
Got it.
Just by eyeballing it. But it's got 4 X's stamped on the top of the box. She slams it on the counter.
Excellent. How much would it be for 10 pounds of sulfur?
10 gold.
Is your sulfur somehow better than the usual sulfur that is sold in these parts?
She looks up into the corner of the room as if she's really trying to think of a complex math puzzle. And then she looks back at you.
Yes.
I see. Well, while I am, of course, thrilled to learn of the properties of your rather unique sulfur, my offer is 7 gold.
Give me a persuasion check, please.
9.
10.
Of course.
And Vander hands over the 10 gold without further haggling.
I really thought you were going to mind Spiker there.
I was very close.
Like, they're going to get run out of town.
Vander wouldn't do that. He's a hero.
She slides the box across the counter towards you and then goes back to just looking at the floor.
Do you sell hats?
She reaches behind her and opens a cupboard, effectively. And inside you see, sat upon the recreations of heads, are a series of hats. They all appear to be incredibly good quality and almost brand new.
The hell sort of shop is this?
Yeah.
What's it called? Does it have a name?
Visits Wonder Emporium.
It's called Dolly's.
Are there any tricorn hats?
There is a tricorn hat.
And does it look magnificent?
It looks like the kind of hat that an admiral would definitely wear.
50 gold.
While inwardly, Vander is extremely interested. His face moves not at all.
How much for this one?
And his cane lines up with the tricorn hat.
She looks at it and then looks at you.
5 gold.
Ah, you seem to sell special hats as well. 3 gold.
Give me a persuasion check at disadvantage, please.
7.
Tock will guide Vander by commenting, Vander, that design is inefficient. If you detached the 3 corners from the peak, it would provide more shade and more protection from rain. That's worth an extra 3.
Vander replies,
Ah, yes. I see exactly what you mean. Poor craftsmanship.
Her eyes flick from Tock back to Vander, and you see them widen slightly.
Well, 3 gold, 3 gold.
Pleasure doing business with you then.
and Vander puts another 3 gold on the counter.
She grabs it and then reaches up, grabs the tricorn hat and slides it across the counter to you, and then goes back to looking at the floor once again.
Vander places the hat proudly upon his head and with one hand behind his back says,
"Good day to you then,"
and strolls from the shop, leaving Tock to pick up the sulfur, which, whilst being not very heavy, is still way too heavy for Vander.
She does not respond to your goodbye.
Dolly's headgear and chemicals.
Tock will stay in the shop just for a second longer and inquire, "Do you sell cloaks?"
She reaches to the other side, opens a second cupboard. Would you believe there is a series of cloaks in there?
So Tock will try and find the biggest one.
It does feel a bit like Dolly's plot convenient supplies for all occasions, doesn't it?
You try DMing.
You have to go to 11 different shops to get your tricorn hat.
Eyeballing the cloaks, you don't think many of them would fit you, certainly not in a kind of comfortable manner. And Dolly has obviously made this assumption as well. And she reaches under the counter and pulls out like a large piece of material that's neatly folded. She then whips it out and you see like an extra sized cloak.
How many gold coins would you require for this cloak?
1 gold.
I would find that to be acceptable. Tock will pass over a gold coin and take the cloak with him.
She seems quite delighted about the fact that you haven't tried to haggle with her. And she takes the gold coin and then she looks at you and then just slips a chocolate bar across the counter and then just goes back to looking to the floor.
Tock will look down at the chocolate bar, will pick it up, put it in a pouch and leave without saying anything. As he emerges from the shop, you will see Tock is now wearing a large cloak. What colour and what does the cloak look like, Dom? Because Tock hasn't really got an eye for these sort of things.
Is navy blue with lime green stripes on it, pinstripes, and it has a big white anchor on the back.
So Tock is wearing this now.
Tock, you're a vision of a very particular sort,
observes Vander, cocking his hat backwards to look up at Tock.
Vander, that would appear to be true of any object.
Yes, indeed. But few objects manage by themselves alone to look like a travelling circus.
Bennie has been standing outside the shop waiting for Tock to come back and pick up the bag of guano because it's too heavy for him. Just looks up at these two, the tricorn hat and the cloak. It's like, what happened in there?
2 things happened.
We acquired sulfur.
We acquired sulfur. Tock committed crimes against colour schemes.
Incorrect, Vander. I know of no law that is against colours.
I assure you, Tock, that what you're wearing is against plenty of law.
Talk us through your thinking here, Tock. What's the cloak for?
Intimidation?
The Dread Pirate Plex informed me that in human culture, people wear clothes, Bennie.
True. And you're just sort of getting involved, are you?
Indeed. This cloak will help me blend in with the humans' society.
Just bear in mind, Plex gets most of his ideas from Bardal Schultz, so you don't want to pay too much attention to what he says.
Bardal Schultz is one of the most intelligent humans in the world.
Well,
Bardal Schultz told me this.
We'll agree to differ. I need arrows before we go out. Are we going out of town?
Once I have collected the guano, we can leave, unless there is any other business that we have.
I'm just running short of arrows, so I could do with going to the armourers, but that's all.
I could use a visit to the local curiosity shop.
But, Vander, did we not already visit a curious shop?
In fact, we did, Tock. But I did not find the prices to my liking.
So Tock will go and pick up a big sack of guano, carry the sulfur, and will follow Bennie to wherever he's going next, because he assumes he'll have to carry more stuff.
How many arrows are you trying to buy?
If I can, I'd like to buy 20, and I'd like to sell a short bow.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'd also like to buy some more rope to replace my beloved rope, fair enough.
your beloved rope.
Actually, there is something Tock would like to buy, if there is one available, is a grappling hook with a chain, because ropes might not hold Tock.
30 gold coins.
Tock does not attempt to haggle.
Thank goodness. Dave, you get 10 gold coins for the short bow, and it costs you 1 gold coin for 20 arrow.
Thank you. Oh, and how much was the rope, sorry?
1 gold piece for 50 feet.
Thank you. There we go.
Oh, unless you want to buy fancy silk rope for 10 gold pieces. I don't know why you would. Maybe you're Augustus.
Let's assume that it only have got regular rope.
And Augustus has rolled 3 hit dice to recover 15 hit points.
Vander, with the help of your magical eye, you wander the streets of Deepmaund before you come across a thin but tall shop near the Great Wall. From the exterior, it looks dusty and ignored, telling you that whoever runs it has little to no interest in keeping it clean. The sign outside reads, Lucy's Curiosity Shop.
Vander makes his way to the shop.
You push the door, no bell on this one, and are met with row after row of strange items, some made of cogs which whir and tick, while pungent wafts of strange gases float harmlessly around in the air. Despite the bright morning sunshine outside, the dirty windows and lack of candles create a dark atmosphere inside. Behind the counter is a beautiful, pale-skinned human with long blonde hair.
Vander shambles into the shop and draws himself up to an impressive height of less than 6 feet.
Pleasure to meet you.
As he casts his eye around the shelves,
Plenty of items of interest here, I see.
Indeed, we cater to the whimsy and curiosity of our patrons. Tell me, stranger, what is it you seek?
I am just a wanderer who is interested in anything beyond the normal. What are the most peculiar items you have here, if I may ask?
Your timing couldn't be better, friend. I have, this very day, come across a most strange and interesting item. They reach under the counter, pull out a coin purse-sized bag and open it up. Inside are a collection of multicolored beans, like haricot beans, but all the colors of the rainbow.
Magic coffee!
yeah. Vander peers at the beans.
I see. And what properties do these beans possess?
That is the interesting thing. Much like in life, there is a certain chaos to the beans. When you plant one, you never know what you're going to get. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but you look like a man who would enjoy the randomness of chaos.
I see. Could you give me an example, perhaps, of something you have done with these beans?
Alas, I have not used them myself, but the tiefling who sold them to me this morning told stories of what could happen if they're planted. A random selection of mushrooms could sprout, or even a more bizarre group of pink toads could crawl forth from the ground and assist you in your day-to-day life. There could even be a geyser-like explosion filled with beer, tea, or vinegar. Just never know.
Intriguing. And what would you charge for this item?
For a man of fine distinction and, if I'm not mistaken from your attire, as he looks at your hat and medal, a fleet admiral, I could let these go for the low price of 400 gold, along with a thank you for your service.
Vander sighs.
I'm afraid the magic beans are a little beyond my means. But you strike me as someone who would be aware of any artifact of interest that might be seen or traded in these parts. Would I be right?
You wouldn't be wrong.
I've heard tell of a very strange blade. It is dark in appearance and appears to drag light towards it. I was wondering if you come across such an item.
Give me an insight check.
22.
You notice very subtly this person's hand drifts beneath the counter. I've not heard of anything like that, my friend. Nothing even close to it. Where did you hear such wild and improbable things?
Just idle chatter following the large battle yesterday. People spoke of such a blade, and as an interested party in items of curious nature, I wondered if you had seen or maybe heard something of it.
Vander's hand slips into his own robes.
And you're doing it obviously or subtly?
Subtly.
Give me a sleight of hand check, please.
9.
The long blonde-haired person smiles at you. Well, if you're not interested in the beans, I may have to ask you to leave the shop.
No matter,
says Vander, appearing to change pitch as if he's lost interest in the conversation.
Then, just a small item. A chain of keys, if you have any. I'm not interested in what they may or may not open.
Their hand raises from under the counter to their mouth as they look around the shop. I'm sure I have a chain of keys somewhere around here. And they stand up and begin to look into the drawers behind the counter.
How far away are they from the counter whilst doing that?
10 feet away from you and the counter.
I'm going to send Bellerophon around to see if there were any items they were touching or potentially any items they were hiding.
And you're attempting to do this stealthily?
I certainly am.
Give me a Bellerophon stealth check.
So, 22.
As the shopkeep rummages through the drawers, Bellerophon skitters over the counter to look beneath it. Attached to the underside of the counter is an ornate dagger, infused with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds on its hilt. The blade itself shimmers with a bluish hue, which tells you that it's infused with magic.
Size-wise, could Bellerophon get it away?
You can certainly try. The blade is heavy, though, so we need to see a stealth check from Bellerophon at disadvantage because of the weight. Not to mention the distance that he needs to slowly drag it across the counter.
I'm going to choose not to. Having observed the dagger, I call Bellerophon back to me.
The moment he's back, the shopkeep turns around holding a keychain, which they put onto the counter. Something like this.
Excellent. Yes. What do I owe for this item?
6 silver.
Vander dutifully hands over the 6 silver.
Well then, I must be going. Thank you for the scintillating conversation.
Vander turns for the door.
Oh, and some advice. If you do come across a blade of that nature, I would suggest you don't offer to buy it or to interact with the one who sells it to you. No good can come of that, not even for one armed with a dagger as ornate as yours.
Thank you for the advice, Admiral.
Vander tips his hat and shambles from the shop.
Tock wants to get some iron ingots. Bennie, iron ingots. At 1 silver per pound. I have purchased 30 pounds worth.
Good grief. Right.
Under all this stuff, Tock is clearly carrying near his weight limit.
Should I ask why, or is it better not to know?
It will speed up many projects that I have, Bennie.
Okay. Sounds good. Right. Should we go and see if Vander's got himself into any trouble?
As you say that, Vander shambles up to you all.
No. I remain in one piece, but thank you for your concern, Bennie.
What about the people you met?
They will also end the day alive.
Ooh, what a delight. All right. Onwards.
Indeed. I take it all matters settled. We may now make our way to the coach.
Works for me.
I find this to be acceptable.
Let's go.
Vander, does this mean we may return to this city at a future date?
Probably not Tock, but certainly there was always a chance.
Maybe just stay in a different inn in case you've done something irreparable to Doreen's roof.
Fine idea.
As you guys head back to the market square where you parked up the stagecoach, you board the stagecoach and ride it out of the city of Deepmaund back to the Sterling, get on board with all of your new supplies and take off into the morning sky. Can I have a D20 from Harry?
A 6.
Can I have a D100, please, Harry?
That's ominous.
Concerning.
6. T.
You begin cruising on your day-long journey towards Whiterun.
Tock's in the bowels of the ships because he's currently deboning some armor.
How do the bowels of the ship relate to the poop deck?
The lower poop deck, I believe it's called.
Vander is enjoying being back on the poop deck and having set the ship on his course, asks for Otis to attend him.
Otis,
Yes, Vander.
I was wondering if you would summon Tock to my quarters.
Yes, Vander.
Thank you.
And he scuttles off.
Vander makes his way down to his captain's cabin.
So Otis will see Tock and his automaton assistants. They've got all the bodies out of the bag of holding. They're currently taking the armor off poor Warden Knox and have his equipment and stuff sort of stowed. It looks like they're preparing to take all of the metal bits out of the sisters. Automaton Otis.
Tock, Vander has requested your company in his admiral's quarters.
I find that to be acceptable. And so, obviously, being an automaton, he's not washing his hands, but he will return immediately to Vander's cabin. If you knock on the door, since that seems to be what humans do.
Enter.
Vander, Otis had summoned me.
Yes, indeed. Please, join me.
And as you enter the cabin, you find Vander reclining behind his desk. As you look around the cabin, you can see it's in a state of disarray. Maps have clearly been used and not returned, and there is a sense that Vander is slightly uncomfortable in what was once a well-ordered cabin.
However, Tock will probably not pick up on any of that, because that would require intuition about human internal emotional states. So Tock will walk up to the desk and just stand in front of Vander and say, Vander, what is required?
Well, Tock, I was wondering if you might provide me some small assistance.
With that, Vander opens a drawer to retrieve something and looks horror-struck at what he finds in the drawer.
Very creative.
In the drawer reads, I am the captain of this ship.
Ah, crude drawings of sexual positions. How very predictable.
He closes the drawer, having not found what he was after.
I will be unable to help you with that acquisition, Vander.
Of course. It is not the drawer I am particularly interested in.
And Vander stands up and moves over to a large set of wardrobe doors.
It is this.
And Vander opens the various wardrobe doors, and you are met with the sight of various outlandish outfits ranging from Highland kilts through to full sou'westers.
I feel rather indisposed when I'm without my various garments, Tock. I was wondering if you might construct me a means of carrying them with me at some point.
You possess arms, Vander?
I do, but sadly, they are not particularly functional ones.
Indeed. Do you wish for a chest or trunk to store these clothes?
I was thinking more a wardrobe of holding,
he says with gusto.
I have not heard of such a device. It may be possible.
That is good news. Then I will leave this little task with you.
Vander looks extremely pleased with how the conversation's gone.
Oh, and one more thing, Tock.
Indeed, Vander?
Don't tell the others. A gentleman's outfits are a personal matter.
I would find that to be acceptable. Tock will return to his grisly work.
And Vander will make his way down to the belly of the ship.
So, Tom, a wardrobe of holding?
I mean, I suspect a bag of holding would do the job, right? They're just clothes.
Otherwise, you have to carry a wardrobe.
Exactly.
I mean, every wardrobe's a wardrobe of holding.
I just thought it was like a very Vandery thing to want, so...
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, bag of holding would definitely do the trick. I think I suspect Tock would be smart enough to figure out that Vander just needs something for his clothes to go into, and therefore a bag would work. But then again, maybe not. I don't know.
I so want to say, guess again. Yeah.
Vander, you head below deck to the lower portion of the poop deck,
where Vander may find Bennie rooting around for paint.
Bennie, another hobby, I presume.
No, Vander, I'm making myself useful. We mentioned repainting ships, so it looks more empirical.
Yes, indeed. An interesting use of the term, of course, but I take your meaning.
Yeah, it didn't come out right, but, never mind. You know what I meant.
Have you found the relevant paints?
Yeah, I think so. I think all these colours will do, and he holds up a few tins that he's found scattered about the place. We should be able to cobble something together.
Yes, they look correct. The Empire is, as ever, lacking in style.
Unlike your good self.
Of course.
And he gives a look to Vander's admiral's hat.
Vander takes that as a look of sheer appreciation.
Right.
And Augustus enters the room while you two are chatting.
So Augustus has the same outfit as all the other Knights of Scarlet, except he has a gold heron pin on one side of his chest. Gentlemen, does my new uniform suit me?
Speaking of style, Augustus, you look magnificent.
Why, thank you, Vander. Your hat is very fetching.
Bennie looks Augustus up and down and just says, bit understated, isn't it?
I am a humble servant, as always, Bennie.
Vander, where does the Order of the Heron stand on conflicting allegiances?
Speaking as a soul entirely composed of conflicting allegiances, I would hope that the Order of the Heron is rather forgiving on matters of that nature.
How about the Knights of Scarlet? What would they think about your little brand, Augustus?
My little brand, Bennie.
You have a heron imprinted on your bicep.
Bennie, I had a very constructive conversation with Commander Ironsteiger, and he understands that my quest will be one that brings me into conflict with the Empire. And as long as I do not break my oath as a Knight of Scarlet, then I am free to continue in that quest.
Whilst talking, you hear some heavy footsteps, and Tock enters the bowels of the ship, carrying a large sword. In fact, a sword almost as tall as, probably a little bit taller than Vander. He hands it over to Augustus and says, Augustus, this is the great sword you requested from the corpse of Warden Knox.
Even Vander is taken by surprise by this.
Thank you, Tock, says Augustus, feeling slightly disconcerted by the sort of casual use of the word corpse when he was being given a present.
I have cleaned the blood and entrails from the blade.
Very thoughtful, Tock, thank you. And Augustus takes the sword. I don't know how massive this sword is. Can Augustus even sort of pick it up? Would he be able to fight with it?
I've got a great sword upstairs for reference, but it's a classic, knight in armor weapon.
Swapping out a cursed sword for a dead man's sword. Interesting.
Augustus, if you wish for any alterations to be made, please request them.
Thank you, Tock. What sort of alterations could you make? Make this more powerful, more deadly in some way?
That may be possible, yes. Also, cosmetic alterations.
Yes, thank you, Tock. It would be good to remove any mark that show that this sword belonged to Warden Knox, and perhaps, if you can, carve or somehow otherwise add a heron to the hilt, or the blade even.
I would find that to be suitable.
So would I, Tock. What fun.
Well then, brothers, now we have kitted out Augustus to be an enormous killing machine. I suggest it is time to discuss how we will tackle events over the coming day. People to be bribed or otherwise persuaded to give us information. It seems like now would be a good time to discuss that.
What may humans be bribed with, Vander? They require food, water, but they desire gold.
First level of bribery, Tock. Yes, objects are an obvious choice. But at higher levels, ideas play a bigger part. I, of course, swim in that second sea.
You see Tock clearly, totally confused by that.
You might swim in second sea, Vander, but my guess is this custodian very much swims in first sea and just wants a bit of cash.
Well, as an admiral, I swim in all seas. So, of course, we can consider cash, if, of course, we don't think of something rather more elegant.
What do we know of this custodian, Vander?
Just got a name, really. Christoph Mellencamp.
Very well. Well, to side with Bennie here, I think a simple bribe may be the most obvious choice.
Not kidnap and torture?
Perhaps we should call that Plan B, Vander.
How would a custodian react to the Shadow Vanguard's presence? Tock will take from his bag the Shadow Vanguard accoutrements that we have for disguises.
Poorly, I would imagine.
Fear is certainly an option, gentlemen, but if a simple bribe would work, it strikes me as a more straightforward tool, and one that leaves our friend less likely to act against us once we leave.
If you insist, Augustus, then of course we will begin with a simple bribe.
Guess we should just decide what we want from him.
That would require knowing what he knows.
Speaking as someone with a little bit of experience in the world of thievery, a couple of things that I'd like to know would be, what uniforms do they wear there? So would our bounders here be of any use? Do they ever get visits from Shadow Vanguard? So would your costume be of use? What does the delivery schedule look like? So maybe we could use that to our advantage. And anything he knows about any weaknesses, or, guard patterns, that sort of thing.
Very well. Then, gentlemen, perhaps we could try a two-pronged approach. Perhaps two of us could try charm and charisma, perhaps assisted with a little alcohol, and two of us could be the stick that follows that carrot should our target not accept it.
Indeed. Bennie, on the blueprints for the Fingers prison, there is a Founder's cabin listed. There is a Lunadyne officer's office and an Omicron office listed. I am unaware to what Omicron would refer to.
Good point, Tock. There might be something to find out.
Perhaps the first question, gentlemen, is to ask ourselves how we will explain why we want this information. How open can we be about our intentions?
I wouldn't imagine we can be fully open if that is your question, Augustus.
Well, I suspect the custodian will be extremely suspicious that we want any information about the organization of a famous prison.
I can imagine questions of the prison will indeed invoke a certain caution in him.
Could we perhaps pretend to be friends of some less important prisoner? Merely criminals, perhaps? Bennie, with your experience in that part of the world, perhaps you could pretend a friend of yours has been imprisoned.
That plan carries the advantage of Bennie not having to dress up.
I am deeply offended by the insinuations of both of you, and it's a very good idea, and I will do it.
Good man, Bennie.
Excellent. Team Carrot has been formed.
Augustus claps Bennie on the shoulder.
Tock, I believe that places you on Team Stick with me.
Will I require a stick, Vander?
You may well.
I think the stick part is fairly straightforward to organise.
Yeah, we're just going to be off stage left, aren't we? While Carrot does its job.
I'm assuming if you fail, then try somehow to send a message, and then Shadow Vanguard, Vander, and Automaton escorts can come in, and we can torture the information out.
Augustus, we will place ourselves nearby, and should your efforts as Team Carrot begin to go awry, then simply wink in my direction, and we will take that as a sign that Team Stick are to intervene.
I will follow your lead, Vander.
Very well, Vander. I shall use this as a last resort. Bennie, in terms of our plan, if you were to take the role of someone who has a friend imprisoned within the Fingers, what could my role be? Perhaps you have engaged me as some sort of investigator?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, I don't think.
I could perhaps be some well-meaning lawyer, perhaps is the correct word.
Are you not aligned to a religious faction, Augustus?
Yeah, maybe he's found Tyr, my friend, the prisoner. And, what if he's found Tyr and you're on a mission to help him as a representative of Tyr? You might need to lose the scarlet armor.
Yes, I quite understand, Bennie. I should think well-dressed, but not dressed for combat, should be my attire.
Sounds about right. Also, I've just had a bit of an idea, and Bennie gets out his sending stone and sends a message to Boffo. And the message is, what do we know about Mellencamp? What is it that makes him bribable?
Within seconds, you get a response. Hey up, Bennie. He's soft as shit. He's very easily bribable. Money, fine garments, finer food. He's weak. Easy.
Susceptible to Team Carrot. Even more susceptible to Team Stick. I don't think Team Stick should have any part of this.
Team Stick are not deterred by what's just happened.
It's a shame because Augustus it feels like the god he should be follower of. He could be a sort of volunteer lawyer following the god of justice. But I think the god of justice is Paxamut. And those are the maniacs who potentially murdered Augustus's father.
The Ministry.
Justice.
Yes. So I think he will carry on being a follower of Tyr because any questions, at least Augustus has some idea of what he's saying.
Well then, it seems that there is enough time for another round of soup before we find ourselves at our landing point,
says Vander hungrily.
Tock, might I have a word with you?
Indeed, Augustus.
I've been wondering about Tick and his ability to communicate. So far, it seems his power of speech shows no sign of returning. I wondered if you could tell me anything about the future prospects in that area.
It is a matter that I have investigated at length, Augustus. I am unsure as to the cause of the lack of communication. I believe it to be a fault, a misconnection within the Tavistock matrix. I will keep trying.
Very well. Well, Tock, in the meantime, I'm extremely anxious to discover what he knows of this elf or woman, perhaps, named Aurora, who he came across, I think, 2 years ago. And I wonder if Tick might be able to indicate answers to my questions, even if he cannot speak the words.
That may be possible, Augustus. We should experiment.
Very well, Tock. I appreciate we may be about to be thrown once again into danger, but I should like to speak to Tick at the first opportunity.
Indeed. Possibly after Operation Carrot and Operation Stick.
Very well, Tock. Thank you.
Bennie heads down to the galley in search for snack and stumbles across Vander.
Ah, if it isn't Team Carrot, join me, Bennie.
All right. And Bennie pulls up a stool and sits opposite Vander. What you got in your soup bowl today, Vander?
This is toad in the hole, soup form.
Oh no, why did I ask?
There's more than enough for two.
No, please. What do you want?
Oh, well, more for me. To the subject of what I want, Bennie, I made some little inquiries before we left Deepmaund. I spoke with the owner of the curiosity shop. I mentioned the Dark Blade.
To do with it's Joseph that you mentioned?
Yes. Now, I feel it only right to tell you that it was clear to me that she meant me harm at the point I mentioned the blade. Now, from that, I sense that almost certainly those blades are here or nearby. Now, what does that mean for us, Bennie? I would suggest to you it means that we, you and I, Rosians, are in some particular danger. There is something about us, something about the way we are put together that Joseph is almost certainly interested in.
Bennie lets out a deep sigh of concern. Well, I appreciate you telling me, Vander. This feels like something you might have kept to yourself in the past, so I do appreciate that you're letting me know. What do you think we need to do about it?
Be vigilant and keep our eyes open. As to telling you, I wouldn't want harm to come to you, Bennie, even if you are part of Team Carrot.
Thanks.
You're quite welcome.
And with a final slap, Vander places the bowl back on the table.
Well, ice the pole and Team Stick to the rescue. Get some rest, Bennie. I'm sure it won't be long until we find out what this person knows, one way or another.
Right. Well, I'm not sure I'll ever rest easy again, having seen you eat toad in the whole soup, but I appreciate the sentiment nonetheless.
Super.
Oh, no.
Awful.
I just developed superphobia.
We all did. The day's travel passes with no incidents. The following morning, you awaken a few hours from Whiterun. As you approach, you begin to see the village take shape. It's small and unassuming, sat as it is in the center of a mud bowl. No walls, no defenses, and with only one notable structure. At its heart, towering over every other single-story wood building, is a Colosseum. And with the Whiterun Colosseum in your sight, we will end it there.
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Dave Windust as Bennie Quez, Alex Morrison as Augustus Zeno, Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, and Harry King as Tock, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support. Marshall 001, Marky B, Darcy Thompson, Jenny the War Camel, Stephen Sakura, Nori Gosler, Mickey Arnold, Happy Daddy Scotty, Tika, S.J. Phionics, Richard Ungamus, Rabbi Camel, Team Vander, Paris Pakar, Path Pursuit, Julia Zeno, Shovels, Mama Strange, Queenie, Liz Beckett, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London. Are you saying the Thunderdomes are getting bigger and bigger until we finally go to
I'm saying
one
you're
of them?
fucking going to a Thunderdome.
The Thunderdomes just get bigger relative. The towns get smaller and their Thunderdomes get bigger.
You want to talk to the custodian? You got to make it through 8 rounds of Thunderdome action.
Thunderdome.
So you pass a single hut, which is attached to a 40-story Thunderdome.
It's all gone remarkably smoothly so far, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I was really expecting Vander to have murdered someone at this point.
There was a moment in that shop.
Yeah, it could have gone one or two ways there, couldn't it?
I don't really know what Augustus wants. I don't have a good record in shopping. I've been shopping twice. Once I died, and once I bought a coach.
You arrive back to find the Sterling in tatters. No.
Bardolph Schultz has nicked it.
Again.
Just someone remind me, why are we down here?
Oh, I was going to say, please say that in character, though. Why are we here?
I just got a massive sword, I'm happy.
Lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our Linktree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.